Okay, we're up to Berachos Daf Chav Beis. We're in the middle of the sugya of Valkeri Maharer. We mentioned that Pei Beis and Baba Kama, that Ezra had been attacking 10 Dakonis. One of them was that a Valkeri had, before he goes ahead and learns Torah, so at Varkedusha should go to the mikvah. And we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yehuda had said that you don't have to be Maharer, you can be Mavarech even. I don't think I was clear. Maybe I mistakenly said the other day that Rabbi Yehuda made the bracha before Kriya Shema and after Kriya Shema, or before benching, or right after benching. That the Tanakama said you're Maharer in Kriya Shema, you're Maharer in benching, and but by brachas you don't have the same thing at all. Rabbi Yehuda seems to be of the opinion you can even might see the piv. We might see the piv. So we're going to ask on that. Time Zov Shara Keri. Now that means he has a previous tumah. He's a Zov. A Zov is someone who had a flow from his body. He saw two ears. He has to wait 7 days. He sees 3 ears. He has to be the carbon type of flow that comes from his body. So he is tamei as a Zov. Now Shara Keri. Now he's a Valkeri. So he has an additional tumah. Or Venida Shepalta Shefa Zera. She's a Nida. She lived with her husband. She's part of Shefa Zera. So now she has 2 tumas. Or Hamashameshes Barasa Dam Nida. Right, someone's Mishamish and sees Dam Nida, Tzricha Tefillah. You need Tefillah for your carry. If you the Paita, you don't need for your carry, you do not need Tefillah. Ad Kamay Pata of Yehuda Ela Bizav Shura carry. You know why? The Mikara About Tefillah. So his seeing carry is not going to be Milo Myrid. He's Tomei because he's a Zav. Aval Bal carry Greda, but a plain Bal carry Machayev would be Machayev. So how would Rabbi Yehuda allow an Mishnah to go ahead and be Maitzim Svasav, the brachas before and afterwards? If after all, you see from here the diak of the Mishnah, Bal carry is awesome. If you're going to answer, who I didn't feel about carry great than Ami Pata Rabbi Yehuda. I said, why did you go ahead and say that a Zav that sees is Chayev? By the Haidlik Maflagi Zav, that you made the Machlekes by Zav Shura Keri, the Koyach Rabbanan, that shows the Koyach of Rabbanan that you Chayiv Tefillah. In other words, what's a diak? Only because you're a Zav, don't you have to go to the mikvah for the Keri? Mashma Keri alone, you would have to go to the mikvah. No, maybe according to Yehuda, side by side, whether you are a Zav or not a Zav, you don't have to go to the mikvah for Keri. However, according to the reason we mentioned Zav, tells the Chiddush of the Chachamim that even though you told me to Zav, you still have to go to the mikvah to carry. So okay, that's fine. How we aim is safer. What about the safer? So now when she's clean. Now after she becomes time, it's Srichat Tefillah. Come on, who do we learn that according to? Elam the Rabbanon Pshita Hashto Mazav Shara Keri the Meikara. Zav that already previously been Tamei. Lavar Tefillahu. Nonetheless, Mechayiv Rabbanon Hamashemeshes Rasa Dam Nida. They made Korah Bas Tefillah because she wasn't Tamei like Kol Shkein. So this din of Mishemeshes and seeing Dam Nida, L'chari is only according to Rabbi Yehuda. Hello, what I have to say, Rabbi Yehudi. B'dafka Katani Law Mishemeshes Rasa Nida ain't Tzricha Tefillah. Of course, why she's Tamei. Abba Balkeri Greda Mechayiv, right? So Balkeri is Chayiv. So L'chari we have a very upshlag on Rabbi Yehuda. How can Rabbi Yehuda say in the Mishnah that we might see the piv, the brachas, the chayri says about carry will be also b'dibei Torah. And the Gemara loytein u'mevarech. Let's change our mode of thought. Rabbi Yehuda said in the Mishnah mevarech milfnei machreha, he did not mean to go ahead and be mitzvah b'piv. He meant what ela mahar, that you could be mahar. Read the Gemara will me slay Rabbi Yehuda hearer. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold what of hearer that l'chayri that hearer is lav kedibur? But Tanya balkeri she'en lamayim litfol. Balkari that doesn't have water to immerse himself in. Kayer Kriya Shema. He lanes Kriya Shema, Veina Mavarech, and he doesn't make a bracha. Loylefnev, Loylachreha. Loichel Pita, he eats his bread, and Mavarech Lachreha. He doesn't make a far bracha. He just benches. Veina Mavarech Lefnev. Al Mahara Baliboy. Veina Mitzvah Svasav Divrei Neya. Review the Oimed Benkach Benkach. Whether it's bracha, the brachas of Kriya Shema, whether it's brachas, the brachas of before benching, Mitzvah Svasav. You can be Mitzvah Svasav. So you see that what. So on a Mishnah, when it says that it's Mevorech, it's not Mahareh, but it's Ma'aseh Swasa, right? And that's back to the original question, right? Then why, if he holds about Keri is Asa, a Mutta, so Asa, why is he able to go ahead and be Ma'aseh Fit? So I'm Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, Asa Rav Yehuda Kilchas Derech Eretz. you make benching l'chayra like hilchos derech eretz. In other words, we're going to see there's halachas of derech eretz, things that you're able to learn even when you're about carry, and that's what we're speaking about. Right, the Tanya. If the pasuk says, "Vaydatel v'nechel ve'necha uksiv basrei yom asher avatel v'nechashem l'chayrev." Ma'ala just like by chayrev, by Matan Torah, was be'ema, be'yira, u'berasas, u'bezeya. It was with fear and trembling and sweating. Afkan, so too over here by Balkari, be'ema, be'yira, u'berasas, u'bezeya. B'kanomru hazovim hamitzurayim u'boyin al nidos u'taron l'kres b'taron nevim m'ksuvim l'shanais b'mishnah u'gemara u'b'halachos u'b'agados avu b'alei kriyan asurin. So what was the difference between Zav, Mitzayra, and Balanidos and Korean? Why are we more severe by what about Balkari? So Rashi says because Balkari comes about Kalas Roish. All the other ones are natural to him, is that don't come result necessarily of the person what he does. But Rashi says Ava Balkari Eina Elamitoich Kalas Roish B'Zachas Sadas. Okay, so it's very interesting. The Lashon Ema. Yira Rasas Lizeya. So the Gra says the following: that a person has Ema is speaking about that he's in awe of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's greatness. Yira is Yiras Ayinish. Rasas is like spusha, like Sha'adam Yari Shiyari Chav Yira, a person scared Shiyari Chaveru Etzlai Davam Maguna, that you should not see a negative in another person. You're embarrassed that people should see what you are. So we're embarrassed that a Kadosh Baruch Hu should see what we are. Vizeya and sweat. Hainu asiyas and mitzvahs b'shleimus. That you namish asiyas and mitzvahs b'shleimus. So ema, yira, rasas, and zeya. Ema is the or of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yira is yiras einish. Rasas is the embarrassment you feel that a Kodesh Baruch Hu knows how our chesronos. And zeya would refer to what would be the mitzvahs forming of mitzvahs in the shleimus. Very interesting. Okay. Back to so the bottom line is that we didn't conclude yet that Rabbi Yehuda is going to say you can do in derech eretz along with the brisa. Avabali kriyana son Rabbi Yossi Aimer Shainu Beragilis. He's able to learn things that he doesn't have to look into too much. He's struggled to say befiv. But b'bachli yitzias and Mishnah, provided he doesn't go ahead and elaborate upon the Mishnah. He doesn't elaborate. Rabbi Yossi ben Yosef Aimer Matzia. Tesco?
Hi, Danny.
How are you, Tesco?
Good, Berachos. Can you talk?
Yeah, just wait 1 second. I'm in the middle of making my share. Call me back in a second, okay? If you're able to go ahead and Malkari is able to go ahead and be trying to learn things that he's struggled to learn, that is custom saying his mouth. You shouldn't be elaborate upon the Mishnah. You can't elaborate upon the Gemara. You can even elaborate upon the Gemara. You don't mention Hashem's name. The psukim with Hashem's name. Do not go to the base medrash to go to listen, but do not go to go ahead and learn, because the Balkari is awesome. The other say base medrash kolika at all, because you may come to learn with somebody else. It says this is the whole reason we brought this in. Yehuda says you could learn, you could be mitzvah hilchos derech eretz. Rashi being hilchos derech eretz is like derech eretz, and the teaching, some of the teachings are based azai. Ma'aser Rabbi Yehuda was a Ma'aser Rabbi Yehuda that Shiro carry. He was going by a river. Amalei Talmid of Rabbeinu. Shadolei Perek Echad hilchos derech eretz, because after all, you're the one who said that hilchos derech eretz you're able to. That's why you're able to go in baruch by benching. By benching, the brachos is no different than what derech eretz, the bracha before benching. The taval at the taval v'shanu. So what did he do? He went down. Yarad. He went down to the river. He went to the mikvah and mistavel. Amaloi, incredulously, the Talmidim said, that you're able to learn hilchos derech eretz. So why would you go to the mikveh? You told us about Keri. He's able to. Some of them, even though I'm making on others, I'm machmir on myself. Tanya, Yehuda ben Beseira Hayoimer, ain't the Torah makabel tuma. The words of the Torah are not makabel tuma. They're not makabel tuma. In other words, it seems to be he is going against the takana of Ezra. Ezra said about Keri is also Torah. He says that Divrei Torah not makabel tuma. Bez Hashem, we'll see a Tosfos in Baba Kama that that explains how could he possibly go ahead and overcome the takana of Ezra. After all, a Bezdin cannot go ahead and be mavatal the dvarim of a Bezdin that was greater than it b'chachmu b'minyan. So how was he able to do this? Ma'aseh b'talmid echad shlo yemegam game. He was about Keri, and he was begam game. In other words, he wasn't perhaps saying the shemos. Amalei b'ni pasap picha v'yiru dvarecha. Go ahead, open your mouth, and go illuminate your words. Shein devrei Torah mekabel tuma. Nothing to worry about. Shneimar, it says, haloi koi dvari ke'eshnu Hashem. Ma'esh ein mekabel tuma after devrei Torah ein mekabel tuma. So therefore, about Keri is permitted to learn. Amamar, it says. Matzia es HaMishnah, Veina Matzia es HaGemara. You collaborate upon the Mishnah, you can't elaborate upon the Gemara. Sayle Reb Eloi, Rashi is not Garis of Sayle, that the Amar Reb Eloi, Amar Reb Acha Bar Yaakov, Yishum Rabbeinu, Halacha Matzia es HaMishnah, Veina Matzia es HaGemara, but you shouldn't elaborate upon the Gemara. Kitanai, like the following machlok is Tanai. Matzia es HaMishnah, Veina Matzia es HaGemara, Divrei Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Eloi, Yishum Reb Chanina, and Gamliel Zev is Asa, even for Mishnah is asa. For Milah is ever mutter that even Gemara is mutter. Madam is ever asa. Rabbi Yochanan Sandla in the name of Rabbi Akiva that not to go into the base medrash at all. And Madam is ever mutter. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that says that what in the Torah mekablim tama. Amar Nachman Yitzchak Noig Alma Kahani Tlasabai. The halacha is like the following three people: Rabbi Eloi, Berachos Agez, Rabbi Yoshia b'Kalayim, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira b'Debei Torah. Rabbi Eloi, Berachos Agez, the Tanya Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Eloi Oimer, Berachos Agez in a noyeg elo ba'aretz. Berachos Agez, if you have a certain amount of weight of wool from your sheep, it goes to the kohen. That the wool goes to the kohen. It's only noyeg in Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara in Wool and Darshan say Gezerah Shava, right? Because Rabbi Yoshia b'Kalayim the Chsiv, but it says Kamachol leSizra Kamachol Kalayim. Rabbi Yoshia Oimer la'olam ein chayvat sheyizra chita u'soira b'chatzim apolis yad. It's mashma that you have to have zroyim. It says chartzan is a seed, is a grape seed. Chita is something you plant. Soira is something you plant. Chartzan is a tree. So it's mashma that you need zroyim. So you need clay zroyim and clay kerem on one hand. That's what clay kerem is. And that's Rabbi Yehuda Meseir, the as we just said, the Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Meseir ain't the Torah mekabel tuma. The Torah is not mekabel tuma. That we're mevatel the being titled for about Keri. Law, but lul in tilusa in mevatel washing your hands. Mandi but lul, it's about lul to tilusa. Rabbi Yehuda Meseira that you don't have to go ahead and be titled for about Keri. Because the Torah is not mekabel tuma. Mandi but lul tilusa ki hadra chista layid aman. So earlier in the Masechta that what Chista would curse the mahadra maya be'edin tilusa. He's supposed to daven. He's going to miss man tefillah, and he's going busy with tefillah yadayim. Why? Rub your hands on something. Getting back into the whole sugya about Keri. About Keri, shenastu love tisha kavin. About Keri that was poured upon him tisha kavin, 9 kavin of water, in between 3.4 or 5.7 gallons. 3.4, 5.7 gallons. Tahar. It's tahar. You don't need a tefillah in a mikvah, even if you have mayim shuvim poured upon you. Tisha kavin. Nachem yishkamzu loch shalav Akiva. He wouldn't publicize this psak. But he whispered to Rabbi Kiva, loch shel ben Azai, ben Azai yotza v'shonel tamida b'shuk. He publicized it. Now, pligi bot sheyam Rabbi Marava, Rabbi Yossi bar Rav and Rabbi Yossi bar Zavta. Kanam shana, one that he publicized, that ben Azai publicized it. The Chatani lochsha that he went ahead and he did not publicize it. He whispered it similar as Nochem Yishkamzu whispered to Rabbi Kiva whispered to him. Manatani shana yishim bittul Torah. Right, because bittul Torah, what are you going to go ahead and a person's busy going to mikvah, you won't learn. If it's too hot to go to the mikvah, again, in those days, maybe not as easy as Bisman Hazeh. So therefore, he'd rather not live with his wife than be about Keri. Well, man, the Tani Laksha, a person says Laksha, so you tell me them Chacham Mitzui makes an interesting kind of goyim. That we know that they don't publicize it that you shouldn't go to the mikvah. Why? Because you don't want people going ahead and being around their wives like a rooster in a hen house. So therefore, if he's going to have to go to the mikvah, he may have second thoughts about having tashmish so often. Rabbi Yanek Shemati, I heard Shemakilin Ba. I heard their makel when it comes to tefillah to test that would make a test kavin, ushemati shemachmirim ba le'inyan mikvah, that you should acquire mikvah. The chol hamachmir ba al atzmai, and anyone who's machmir to go to the mikvah, marich lo yom shnaisa. Arishum alevi, mativin shel toivle shachrin, mativin ha'iyudam about carryos and the What are you talking about? Rabbi Shimon Levi is of the opinion it's asa. So when we understand why he's going to the mikvah. So how come out? Mativin ba'arba sa. Why was it necessary to use 40 sa? Actually, but tisha kavim, it's permitted with 9 kavim. Mativin b'tefila. Why do you have to go to the mikvah? Efsha b'nesina, by pouring on top of the person. Amram Chananya, get the godel godru ba the Tanya. Ma'aser be'achad shetava isha l'dvar avera. That guy was taveya pnuya for a dvar avera. Amalah. She said to him, Reika, you empty person, do you have 40 sa to be taival in? Miyad pirish. Immediately was pirish. Rashi says that speaking about a pnuya, because it was Neshes Ish, it's a much more severe avera than the Gezeri de Rabban of pnuya that was instituted the Bein Tav and Amelech as the Maisa of Yehuda, Amnon and Tamar. Amalu of Rafuna Rabban and Rabbi said, why are you mezalzel not to go to the mikvah? Imasham Sina, of course, it's too cold. You can use what? Hot water in bathhouses. I'm with Krista. How could you go ahead and do tefillah b'chamim? Chamim is mayim shuvim, and you're not for tefillah. You don't need mayim shuvim. Only Rabbi Barabba, they told him. Rafuna said, Rabbi Barabba koi kavasech. Rabbi Barabba, he goes according to you. That what that about carry is able to go afilu b'shuvim. Again, when he said hot water, obviously he held that about carry is able to go b'shuvim. This man is that men's mikvah. You can use shuvim. People do go in the swimming pools as a mikvah. The B'seira have a Yosef ba'agno demaya. He was sitting in a barrel of water in the bathhouse. Amalei l'shamei zilai sili tishakavim b'shadi lavoy. Go bring tishakavim and throw on top of me. Amalei Rav Chia bar Abba lamalei lamar kuli hai. Why do you have to do all this? But Yosef b'gavai, you're already sitting in water, so why do you need tishakavim? Amalei kaboim sa. Just like aboim sa. Aboim sa. B'tefila v'lei b'nesina after shekavim b'nesina v'lei b'tefila. Just like arbasa is b'tefila and dafka tefila and not nesina, teskavim is dafka b'nesina and not b'tefila. So even though I'm sitting in teskavim, it only works b'nesina on top of you. Rav Nachman tikkun chitzva bas tishakavim. Rav Nachman made a barrel that held tishakavim. That that was the exact amount to pour in the person. Kiyas Rabdimi Omer Rabbi Yaakov Akiva and Rabbi showed up from Eretz Yisrael. He said, name Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yehuda Glustra. That's the name of a place. Imila Loishanu. That we said that Tisha Kavim you could use Ela L'Choyla L'Oinsai, a person who's sick and he saw Keri L'Oinis. It was not as a result of having tashmish. It just happened that he saw it. Ava L'Choyla Hamarga, but a Choyla that is a result of having tashmish. Then Aboim Sa you need 40 Sa. So Rabbi Yosef did berchatz to the chemia. You went ahead, you just broke the barrel of the chemia. Since it's really not common for a choyla oinsai, and the whole reason you'll be able to use 9 kavim is for choyla oinsai, but the more shkiach case is what a person that's choyla uragil. So you broke the barrel. There's no need for the barrel because I need aboim sa. It's not going to work. Tisha kavim. Kiyasa Rav and Omar Barusha Haviyuv. There was a case in Uvda on the base that what Bekila the Rabbi Oishia in the front porch of Rabbi Oishia. Also B'Shol Rabasi. They came in the Yisra Vasi, Amalahu, like Shanu El Choyla Hamargil. That we learned that one that test kavim is for Choyla Hamargil. In other words, if you're sick, Umargil, and you brought about the carrier because you had tashmish, then Tisha Kavim would work. Aval Choyla Loinsoi, wouldn't need anything. In other words, we went to one darga. According to the first one, Choyla Lorogil would need Arboim Sa. Choyla Loinsoi would be test kavim. And said in Anusha, they said no, that the test kavim would work for what? For oinsa a ruggle, a choyla ruggle, meaning which is the common thing. And oinsa, you would choyla oinsa wouldn't need anything. So Rabbi Yosef, it's tamid chitz for the Rav Nachman. You just put it back together again. Samid psil, you put it back together again because now we can use it. It's facetiously you're saying broke it, meaning you can't use it. Now we could use it. Michti kulam roi b'tanoi b'da Ezra. They're all arguing in Ezra. Ezra's the one who came up with this. The Nichse Ezra Heichen Tikkun. Let's see what Ezra was metakin. Was he metakin? Test kavim was Aboim Sa. Where did we get test kavim from? So Amar Baya Ezra Tikkun Liberia Hamrogil. Ezra went ahead. He's metakin for a healthy person who had tashmish, a normal person. And what was he metakin? How much? Mem Sa. Uberia Loinsai, and a person that was what? Was healthy, but however he had, let's say he saw Keri, but not as a result of his own volition, then teskavim be teskavim. The asam aroy pligi that was by a burial. So as the 40 saw for a healthy person and who's rogil, and teskavim for a healthy person that oinus. Now, with sushtelling a chayla to a healthy person. If you need 40 saw, that you could use teskavim. A chayla that is margul is like a burial oinsay, which is teskavim. The chayla oinsay potem b'leiklum. Amarava, he did tikkun Ezra tefillah, the sinami tikkun. Good, he was metakin tefillah 40 sub. I was in metakin a 9 kavim. V'amar Ezra tikkun tefillah l'malei kriyin. All of a sudden, you never came up with. Where did you come up with this 9 sub? No, teskavim. Amarava Ezra tikkun tefillah l'beria hamargil mem sub. So in other words, in the first lashon, Ezra is metakim teskavim. You go ahead and look in the Gemara and Baba Kama, nothing. So if you're asking, so how could you say for a healthy person is rogil, it's 40 saw, for a healthy person that's oinus is teskavim? Where in the world do you get teskavim for? So we're answering einachinami. Ezra only made mem saw. He did not make teskavim. That was the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan made the teskavim for a bear law insight. Chol hamargil is kiberia hamargil, which is 40 saw. Chol loinsa kiberia loinsa, which is teskavim. Masava beria hamargil is mem saw. Chol hamargil kiberia loinsa teskavim. Ava chol loinsa part miklum. In other words, the difference in the first lesson, the second lesson was Ezra come up with teskavim and not. First lesson, yes. Second lesson, not. Amar Rabbi Hilchas said halacha is beria hamargil v'chol hamargil aboim saw. Uberia loinsa tishakavim. Ava chol loinsa part miklum. So the MS, it seems like, how in the world was Yehuda ben Beseira able to get rid of this? How was he able to go ahead and override Ezra? So that's I think it's a very important akuda it's an important akuda to see. So let's see what we got over here. So here's the Taisus and Pen Basin in Reuben Baba Kama. Asaiu betikin afilu devei Torah. Like Kaimelon Hachi, we don't paskin like Ezra. Elakir Yehuda ben Beseira, we paskin like Yehuda ben Beseira. The Amar, the Vatayra, ain mekabel tuma. The Vatayra is not mekabel tuma. Kida Amar Berachos, I guess. Ubemisha Mesu, which is Aperik. Ha'idna Noyig Alma Kitla Sabi, like the three, like Rabbi Loy and like Yehuda ben Beseira and like Yoshia. Taiman. The Hechi Olam Rabbi Yehuda levatel Konas Ezra. How is Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira able to levatel Torah of Ezra? Again, Ein Bezdin Yochel levatel Hakonas Bezdin Chaveroi Elim Godly Men B'Chapu B'Minyan. V'yesh Laimar the Dil Mesava Leitikin Ezra Dovazeh. Maybe he said that he argues in the whole thing again. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira is a Tana. He can argue on that Mishnah. So maybe he says that he never made that Takana. Inami hisno. Ezra made a tanai. Shekomi sheroitz levatel levatel. The b'chia gavna muta. In that case, if Bezdin made that condition, it'll be permitted to mevatel. Kedama v'reish moed cotton. Inami, a third shot, like poshet isura b'roy Yisrael. That this minig of going to the mikvah when you're about carry, in order to learn, was not poshet b'chol Yisrael. It was not acceptable Kal Yisrael. Like for example, Shem and Akum was not accepted. So l'chayra, that's the one I saw in other Rishonim as well. The Miri, that this was not Poishin Kol Kal Yisrael. In other words, it was a minig that he made, but it wasn't accepted. It wasn't accepted. And the halacha, here's the halacha. Shulchan Aruch Arachayim Peches Siman Aleph Kol HaTameim Koyin B'Torah V'Koyin Kriya Shema U'Mispaulim Chutzim Balkari. Mashma that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Ezra took Balkriyam outline in the Torah as he spoke at Rashi because of Kalas Reish. Whether it's Torah, whether it's Kriya Shema or Shmon Esrei, so this would go along with Lochsha, the Ben Azai to Rabbi Akiva the Ben Azai, and the day that Rabbi Ben Azai was Lochish also. Why? Because we don't want people to go ahead. Oh, you don't have to go to the mikvah, then again, no problem. I'll be with my wife anytime I want. However, says the Mechaber, afterwards they mevatel takana vezra. They midu adavar al hadin she'af bal keri mutter b'devei Torah u'b'kriyashma u'b'tfila b'loi tfila u'b'loi rechitza eskavim. Not only do you not require tefillah, you don't even require Messina of Teskabim. The Chain Pashut Minig says the Mechaba, that is the minig in Klal Yisrael, that you do not have to go to a mikvah, you do not have to Teskabim. By the way, they say a long shower is Teskabim. However, Mishnah Bura Kosav Sivkot days, the Kamakan, Mishi Yirtza Linoy, Belitfol, Tabilay Bracha. The guy wants to go ahead and be noyig to go to the mikvah after he's a Valkyrie, Tabilay Bracha. You get a bracha from the Chavetz Chaim. Oid Hu Oimer, in Sifkat and Dalid, the Kamakim Yesh Anshe Maisa Shenoigim B'Takana Zu, the Toivlin that's Asm Lakirian, then Kosha Alei Matfila, Reitzin that's Asm Dal Kab, and if it's difficult, they wash in Dal Kab. I told you a long shower. The Kosva Achroinim Shememsa Mayim Shuvim Gam King Shevi L'Tfila Zu, that Memsa Mayim Shuvim would be accepted, and therefore people I've been in camp where they Erev Shabbos the men go to the swimming pool. It's certainly more than Memsa. It's Mayim Shuvim, and it's not a problem. So that's the big machlokes, the big sugya of Valkyrie. Well, let's finish up. Tan Rabban. Valkyrie shenas lov teskavim mayim tahar. Amurim is tahar. When we say that la'atzmai, to learn for yourself. Avlacherim, to teach others. Aboim sa. It's not enough teskavim. You need 40 sa. Rabbi Yehuda says memsa mikol makom. Even for yourself, you would need memsa. Rabbi Yochanan, Yeshua ben Levi, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina, Chad me Hayzuga, one of this pair, Chad me Hayzuga, one of the other pair, Aresha. Chad ma Hodam Medam Murim la'atzmoi, Alacherim Zemsa Leishanu Elo Lechoyla Hamargel. Person who's sick and he has tashmish to his wife in a normal way. Alachoyla Oinsay Teskavim, you wouldn't need Memsa, Teskavim would be enough. Chad Omer Kol Acherim Afilu Choyla Oinsay Adik and Memsa, V'machme you would need Memsa. The Chad Mehagis and the Chad Mehag Zuga, one from this Zug and one from the other Zug, are safer. They go into the safer. Chad Omar, Hodam Rabbi Yehuda Memsa, they call Makam Lashanu El Bekarka, if the Memsa is in the ground. Al Bekalim Loy. The Chad Omar, I feel Bekalim Nami, you'd be able to, as long as Memsa, Bekalim. Bishlam Madiam, I feel Bekalim, I become kind of Yehuda, Ime Memsa, Mikal Makam. Al Madiam Bekarka, in Bekalim Loy, Mikal Makam Lasui. My was Mikal Makam come to include. My Lasui, my Shuvim, to include my Shuvim. If you do not need, you don't need the rainwater, mayim sham. The Papa Rafuna Rabbi Yeshua, the Rabbi Bar Shmuel, Kricha Rifta Bahadedade, they broke bread together. Only a Papa, give it to me. I could to bench. Why? The Nafal Lavi Teskavim, because I had Teskavim fall upon me. Amal Rabba or Amal Rabba Bar Shmuel, Tanina, Vedam Mamurim Latzmai, Ablacherim Memsa. It's not enough Teskavim, you need Memsa. Elahovali give to me, Lididach Lavarech. Why? The Nafal Lavi Abamsa. Funny luscious enough to Allah, it fell upon me. The Chayri need tefillah. Amalu Rafuna, I guess that is tefillah. Amalu Rafuna, Havalu Lidi Levarech. Why? The Leka Lavi Loy High. That's what. I didn't need it at all. I'm not about carry. I didn't need test. I need mem. Chama Tivlu Melim with Pischa. If Chama would go ahead and be toivel the Erev Pesach the Mikvah Lahitzi Rabbi Dechabasan, then in the Chiyah of the Haggadah. Less hilchos like Havasei. The is not like that. Again, we have Taisvis. We have the Shtabura. Again, you want to be machmir to go to the mikvah. It's a chumrah. But you could be Tabalei Bracha, but the bottom line is, Valkyrie is permitted to go ahead and learn the Beit Torah, Kriya Shema, and Tefillah. Have a good day.